Hello, I'm Philip Sneller. Welcome to Window on the Word. Today let's turn our focus to Psalm 107. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, whom he has redeemed from the hand of the adversary, and gathered from the lands, and from east and west, and from north and south. They wandered about in wilderness, in waste. They found no way to a city for a dwelling place. Hungry and thirsty, their soul fainted within them. Then they cried out to the Lord in their distress, and he rescued them from their anguish. He led them by a straight way, that they might go to a city for a dwelling place. Let them give thanks to the Lord for his steadfast love and his wonderful deeds to the children of man. For he satisfies the thirsty soul, and he fills the hungry soul with what is good. Some dwelt in darkness and the shadow of death, prisoners in afflictions and iron, because they had rebelled against the words of God and spurned the counsel of the Most High. Their hearts were humbled with labor. They staggered, and there was no helper. Then they cried out to the Lord in their distress, and he delivered them from their anguish. He brought them out of darkness and the shadow of death, and he tore their bonds apart. Let them give thanks to the Lord for his steadfast love and his wonderful deeds for the children of man. For he has shattered doors of bronze, and he has cut in two bars of iron. Some were fools because of their transgressions, and because of their iniquities they were afflicted. Their soul loathed all food, and they reached the gates of death. Then they cried out to the Lord in their distress, and he delivered them from their anguish. He sent his word and healed them, and he delivered them from their destructions. Let them give thanks to the Lord for his steadfast love and his wonderful deeds for the children of man. And let them sacrifice the sacrifices of thanksgiving and declare his deeds with songs of joy. Some went down to the sea in ships, doing business on the great waters. They saw the deeds of the Lord, his wonderful works in the deep. For he spoke and raised a storm wind, and lifted up the mighty waves. They rose up to heaven, they went down to the depths. Their soul melted in their distress. They reeled and staggered like drunkards, and they were at their wits' end. Then they cried out to the Lord in their distress, and he delivered them from their anguish. He settled the storm wind into a whisper, and the waves were stilled. They rejoiced because they were quiet, and he guided them to their desired haven. Let them give thanks to the Lord for his steadfast love and his wonderful deeds for the children of man. Let them exalt him in the assembly of the people and praise him in the company of the elders. He transforms rivers into a wilderness and springs of water into thirsty ground, a fruitful land into a salty waste because of the evil of its inhabitants. He turns a wilderness into pools of water, and a dry land into springs of water. He causes the hungry to dwell there, and they establish a city for a dwelling place. They sow fields and plant vineyards, and get a fruitful yield. He blesses them, and they multiply greatly, and their cattle are not diminished. When they are diminished and humbled by oppression, evil, and grief, he pours out contempt on princes and makes them wander in a trackless waste. But he sets the needy on high out of affliction and makes their families like a flock. The upright see it and rejoice, and all injustice shuts its mouth. Whoever is wise, let him preserve these things and consider diligently the steadfast love of the Lord. Thank you for listening. To God be the glory.